Hello, welcome back to Actual Spinster. Before I get into the content of the video, I thought I would just say that Lot by Schola von Reinhold won the Republic of Consciousness Prize, which Amanda and I talked about in my last video, and also in a video on their channel, and we predicted that it would win, and it did win, and so obviously we're incredible. I mean, I'm sure you've heard a lot about Lot because we've basically talked about it non-stop for the past like 8 months or whatever. Yeah, so that's really great, and I'm super happy and excited for Schola to have won the prize. So yeah. So today's video is going to be about 5-star predictions. After like 3 years, I'm finally gonna sit down and talk to you about the books that I originally, in the video that I first made about this, predicted that I would give 5 stars to and whether I did. And then I'm also gonna make some new 5-star predictions for myself too. And hopefully there won't be as big of a gap between when I upload this video and when I actually read the books. I actually do also, before I start, like I think there is one book that I haven't yet read from that TBR, but like I think it will take me quite a long time because it's a non-fiction book, and like, so I just decided I would go for it. I'll leave a link to the original video that I made in the cards so you can watch that. So the first book that I'm going to talk about, which I did not give 5 stars to, was The Stone Sky by Nk Jemisin. I won't really talk about the plot because it's the third book in the series and it's the final book, and I did give it a 4 stars. I think I just felt like it didn't kind of capture me in the way that the first 2 books and especially the second book did, so I guess I just sort of felt like I had to give it a lower rating. There was like maybe a pacing problem for me, because I definitely do think that like the latter half of the book I much more enjoyed and I felt much more like engaged within it. The world building, the character development, like all of that was really great. It's just, yeah, there was a kind of like, I didn't love it on the same level or enjoy it at the same level as the other 2 books in the series, but I am excited to read more Nk Jemisin. So the next book, which I actually don't remember if I gave 5 stars to, but I'm pretty sure I gave it 4 stars, but like the series that it's in, 5 stars overall, so I guess it kind of like halfway counts as a 5-star prediction. I think it probably was my favourite of the series that it's in, so that's Neon Yang's The Tensorate series, and this is the 4th one, The Ascent to Godhood, and this was I think also the first one I finished from my TBR predictions video, and they're a collection of novellas about this world where there's like this thing called like the slack and like slackcraft, which is kind of like a kind of magic, and people are like tensors, which means they're like trained to manipulate slack so that they can control things and people, and it's also kind of about like revolution and bringing down an empire, or trying to at least. Yeah, so this is the 4th in the series. If I tell you what it's about, it will spoil everything. It's also about lesbianism, which I enjoyed, so I gave it stars for that. Very impartial here at Actual Spinster. No, but I genuinely did enjoy it. But don't read the back or anything about this book because it will spoil the whole series. But I would definitely recommend that series. It's in a kind of, I guess, like a fairly newish genre of like silk punk stories, which is really cool, and Neon Yang is like a really great writer, I think. And then also like, I guess one of the things that people talk about a lot with the series is the way that it kind of like decoerces gender as a kind of category that people are forced to choose, whereas in this series people get to like actively choose their gender, and then when they get to a certain age and stuff, and when they're children they're referred to with they pronouns and like all very gender neutral and stuff, which yeah, is really interesting. And then the first 2 books are specifically about like this pair of twins and their experiences together and apart. Last year I read Saltfish Girl by Larissa Lai, which I did give 5 stars to, and this is a novel I've spoken about quite a lot because like I said, I loved it. This list was very heavily like sci-fi fantasy books, and then the next one that I'm going to make is actually much more like kind of like historical fiction, I guess. So Saltfish Girl, yeah, it's set in the future in what is like North America right now, but also there's another timeline that's in like, I think it starts in like 1800s China, and also before time begins, and it's about like mythology and this like, is she called Nuwa? Yeah, this like goddess and stuff, and it starts with her like creating kind of people and also being like reborn into a person, and it's very watery and kind of gross and delicious. And Miranda, the character in the future timeline, she was born in connection with like durian fruit, and so she kind of emits this durian fruit smell her whole life, and so she's also kind of like sick in that way, and as people are trying to cure her. Yeah, and there's also like, if you've read other Larissa Lai books, there's quite a lot of like similarities, I would say, but like not that it makes it boring, but just that it's kind of fun to see like what Larissa Lai likes to write about, which I think is fun for me specifically because I'm really interested in like reproduction, which clearly Larissa Lai is too. Yeah, it was really great. I would really recommend it, especially if you like queer girl real weird, slightly gross fiction. The next is The Gilda Stories by Jill Gomez, which is a book that I only read in February, I think, and is also one of my favourites. It's just wonderful. It's about a black lesbian vampire called Gilda, and it's kind of, it's a novel, but it is told in quite like distinct sections because she travels through time and in different places, and so we get like chapters in each different place, and we kind of learn about her relationships, her experiences there, the way that this positions vampires, and specifically like being a black vampire and how that like connects you to life and resistance to like white supremacy and queer kind of found families and blood taking as a form of mutual aid. And I really love this, and I would 100% recommend it. It's just like a deeply wonderful, caring, tender book. Yeah. You can definitely tell if I like a book because I just place it next to my cheek. Feeling when you're touched off and also you love books. And then the most recent one that I read that was 5 stars was Maurice by E.M. Forster, and I just read this very recently. And this is about Maurice Hall, who is a young man, and it's just literally about his life. I guess it goes up to when he's about, what, like 24, 25? It kind of charts him coming to understand himself, falling in love for the first time, and truly deciding what and who he loves, and coming to accept himself as well in some way. It's gay, and it's just exquisite. Like the writing, the feeling. If I was ever going to fall in love with men, like this would be what would like lead me to it. It's just gorgeous, and yeah, like I can't there's not really much else to say. It's just so beautiful, and it's so wonderful to read something from, am I going to cry about it? Oh god. So beautiful to read something about being gay and finding love and rejecting a kind of like pathologizing understanding of your sexuality that is from, you know, 1913. Like I feel like Forster's loneliness ricochets through this book and like gives me a hug, or like I can give him a hug almost through it by witnessing what he loves. That's lovely. And I love the ending so much. And you know, if you love Forster and you haven't read this one, I would really recommend it. It's got a lot of like the key Forster things, such as things are a muddle, which he always fucking says in his books, and I kind of love that for him, and lots of other things too. But yes, Maurice. Finally. Great. So yeah, I would say that's actually like pretty successful. So I got like definitely 3 out of the 5 fiction books that I thought, which is good. I just wish it had taken less time to read them because I love them. Right, so on to the new list. So my next round of predictions are these. Old Baggage by Lissa Evans, which is set in 1928. I think it's queer and it's about a woman who used to be a suffragette but is feeling kind of lost because women have won the vote and stuff. Okay. I think that like I could really love this, or I could really dislike it, which is, so I'm playing like a tough game. I don't know what that saying is. You know what that's saying? I'm erring on the side that I will really enjoy it, so there's that. Then this is the sequel to Bodies of Light, and this is Signs for Lost Children by Sarah Moss, and I have wanted to read this for ages because I did read Bodies of Light maybe 2 years ago now, and I didn't enjoy it as much as Night Waking, which is also kind of like loosely part of this trilogy, but I did enjoy it and I would really like to keep going. And I loved Ali, who's the main one, yeah, the main character in Bodies of Light, and is also in this. I also just love these covers, like I think they're really gorgeous. This is also historical fiction. This is actually, I think it's set in Japan in the late 19th century, I believe. Then there's a book that I do not have, which is Summer Will Show by Sylvia Townsend Warner, and Sylvia Townsend Warner is somebody I've wanted to read more of for ages. I read Lolly Willows last year and I loved it, and I talked a lot about it on here. Yeah, Summer Will Show is a historical fiction novel from her. I believe it's set in Paris during the Revolution, and I think it's pretty gay, and I don't really want to know that much about it. I just want to go in because I think I'll really enjoy it, and yeah, I'm excited. Then we have another sequel to a historical fiction series, and that's Bring Up the Bodies by Hilary Mantel, which is in the Cromwell series, and I gave the first book Wolf Hall 5 stars. I loved it so much. I felt so like ensconced by it, and I felt the ambience and the life of the 1500s so present and close to me in my everyday life, and I love that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Also there's, I think, you know, going to be more about Anne Boleyn, which I really liked Anne Boleyn's characterization in Wolf Hall, which maybe makes me like a fake Anne Boleyn lover, but like I enjoyed it, and I don't think it's like the only way she can be represented or was, but yeah, I thought it was good. Then I've got 2, I mean they're older novels I think, but they're both like, they're not historical fiction, you know, I think they were contemporary when they were published, I think. And this one actually BookTube does talk a lot about, which like took me a while to realise that this was like the same book because it has different covers and stuff, but this is Child of Fortune by Yuko Toshima, which has this like great kind of 80s cover, and it's about Coco, a divorced single mother in her mid-30s, feeling hemmed in by society's and her family's expectations. Yeah, I really like these Women's Press editions. They were a cool publisher in the 70s, 80s and 90s, I want to say. And then I've got Lucy, a novel by Jamaica Kincaid, which has also been on my to-read pile for a long time. I think I got this actually at one of the like university bookshares from people who studied it. Yep, global module, first year, £1. And yeah, I think it's a coming of age novel. I think it follows Lucy, a teenage girl from the West Indies who comes to North America to work as an au pair for Lewis and Mariah and their 4 children. And I think it's about like her observations and her connections and disconnections with them. And yeah, I've also wanted to read a Jamaica Kincaid novel for ages. Like, she's great. And also, I think I might try and read this fairly soon because caribathon just got like announced as happening again, which is happening in June, maybe from the 9th. I'll leave like details about it below, and it's run by Rainwright Reads and Cozy Comfy Up. Yeah, and then I did decide to put one non-fiction book on this list because I do think I will, and it is quite a short one. Somebody that I really like who made videos a while ago said that they really liked it. So, and this is Mama, What Are We Called Now by Jacqueline Mesnil Amma. I think it's about the Second World War and being Jewish in Paris and escaping from Nazi occupation. I think I don't want to find out that much about it. I feel like, as you can tell, like I don't want to be like spoiled, but I also just kind of like don't want to hear like that much about books because I feel like people sometimes like explain them too much, which like is fair, but like yeah, it's a Persephone classic, which means it's published with like end pages that are from fabric that was created around the time that it was written. But these ones aren't as nice, but I mean that's quite nice. And there's pictures. Those are the books that I'm going to predict that I'm going to give 5 stars to, which is exciting and interesting to try and do. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about these books and if you like them, didn't like them, whatever, and I will see you another time. Bye!